Hello and welcome to the On the Slate movie podcast. I'm Wesley.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Asher.
And on the slate for today, we're going to be going over the latest movie releases like Sonic 3 and Mufasa. We're also going to be going over some movie news. The Oscar nominations just came out. We'll also be talking Tom Cruise, Greta Gerwig, the Batman 2 delay, and also the Daredevil trailer that just came out. And then at the end, we'll go over some of our recent recommendations from what we've been watching. Let's do it, guys. So this is the face reveal. This is our first ever video podcast. We're really excited about this. We got our set here. Really excited.
This is awesome.
To do this.
It took us all day. And by all day, I mean an hour or so to set things up.
Yeah. So, we're excited just to share this with you as our podcast grows. We've, started picking up a little traction. We'll see where it goes, but we're excited. This is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And thank you for joining us in episode 8 of the On the Slate movie podcast. So, to get things started, let's go over some recent movie releases.
Let's do it. So,
around Christmas time, now the day we record this is January 25th, as you can see, maybe you can see on our slate. Haha. So Sonic 3 and Mufasa, The Lion King came out about a month ago, and both of these have been big hits at the box office. So, Sonic 3 has eclipsed 400 million right now, and Mufasa has actually eclipsed 600 million worldwide. So, both of these movies pretty big successes. Sonic 3 is actually now the second highest grossing video game movie ever released.
Behind like Mario?
Behind the Super Mario movie that came out in 2023.
That blows my mind. So
some rivalries never end, man. Like Mario and Sonic always duking it out for supremacy.
Why do you think Sonic 3 did it and not Sonic 1 or Sonic 2? Do you think it's because of how many characters are now in the third one? Because in the first one, it's mainly just Sonic and Egghead. Or is Jim Carrey technically Egghead? Is he Mr. Egghead? Eggman, whatever his name is.
From what I understand, he kind of becomes actually like that in the third film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's who he's supposed to be.
Because then in the second one, they introduced Tails and Knuckles, right? Mm-hmm. And then in the third one, they introduced Shadow, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think Sonic 3 hit it in terms of box office because of all those characters?
I mean, I would honestly imagine it is because of that, because you get all of these fan favorite characters. I mean, I think when they teased Shadow at the end of the second film, I remember, and including myself, because I saw it in theaters. It's like an end credit scene or something.
Yeah.
I was like really excited for it. I was like, oh, look at that. They're bringing Shadow. And Shadow, I think, is like he's probably the second, it might even be the most popular character in the franchise. I know Sonic's like the main guy, but I think Shadow has like a lot of fans.
Yeah.
I think they've also done a good job of gradually building the passion and like from fans around this movie over the course of the franchise, which is pretty unique. I haven't actually seen Sonic 3, so I personally can't say like if I think it's a better movie or not, but it has been getting some pretty decent fan support behind it. On IMDb, it has a 7.1, so
wow.
I mean, the Metacritic's 56, but I'm not that concerned about that with with a Sonic movie necessarily.
Yeah.
It does kind of. Well, I've seen the second one, and the second one was definitely slanted towards kids. But this one has like people like Keanu Reeves, playing Shadow, who's a really popular Sonic villain. So I think just having some star power behind it, just general goodwill towards the franchise. I think they've gradually just grown in popularity.
I think you also have like really great performances, especially by like Jim Carrey. Mm-hmm. But even the voice actors for Sonic and Knuckles. Like, I guess it's hard to be like, but it feels like they have like passion behind it.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, I guess, talking about such a, I guess, funny movie, but there's a lot of care with the voice actors.
Yeah.
Or the cast in general.
Yeah. Sonic 3, big success. And, still going strong too.
Which is crazy. Theaters. It's crazy thinking about how it first started out. Like the first Sonic, when they released the first trailer, fans were
It looked
Oh,
ugly.
Fans
yeah.
were fans were like just torching that trailer
with the weird eyes,
with the
and whatever,
eyes and the teeth.
He had a
and
weird
stuff.
nose too, and
Everything about his face was just off.
Yeah, they were like, "Give us Sonic. This isn't Sonic."
And they were like, okay, we're gonna change it to like one that actually looks like he does in the games.
Yeah,
So
which I think that's like a pretty smart move. You know, they listened to the audience and were like, "Yeah, I guess let's change this." Which I honestly don't know why they made that original design in the first place, but coming from that as the beginning of this trilogy, and then you saying how there's been a fan base that's grown for it, which is,
yeah.
I guess, pretty cool.
Yeah. So good job to Sonic 3 and all the folks at Sega Films.
Yeah.
So Sega.
Did they ever do a partnership with Sonic the Drive Up?
They should.
They should have.
I don't know if
that
they
was a
did.
missed
I
opportunity
think
there.
they-
I don't-
maybe
I don't-
there's like
I don't think they
conflict
have.
in terms of naming rights. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. I think it would have been a fun cross marketing.
It might have happened. If
Strategy.
it happened, let us know in some sort of comment.
Send us some mozzarella sticks.
Yes, that too.
We're hungry.
So Mufasa also, this is
Bleh.
6.7 IMDb, which isn't great, isn't terrible, and 56 Metacritic, but it is pumping out cash like nobody's business. I mean, $600 million now after about a month. I'm not sure if it's going to quite get to $1 billion like the first I guess live action Lion King movie did.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it might. Who knows? Maybe it has legs. It still was the #1 movie this weekend. So, despite actually opening less than Sonic. So this movie is actually showing like some legs to like extend its life at the box office. Still making a lot of money for Disney. So, you know, these live action remakes, man, just it's free money, folks.
Yeah. Well, the thing about this one is that it's technically not a live action remake, right? Like it's a live action
yeah.
extension. Like it's not
Yeah,
extension.
a prequel.
I think it's in the same. It's in that same like philosophy that Disney's had though.
Well,
like,
yeah,
remaking
yeah.
these to make a. I guess it's more like a photo reel than it is like actual live action. But
Yeah, because they didn't have a 2D animated Mufasa movie, right?
No.
Okay.
There's like a Lion King 1.5
Yeah.
and then a Lion King 2 that are animated that I think were like direct to DVD or something. Weren't theatrical releases.
and I'm a little bit mad at Mufasa right now because it didn't get nominated for visual effects, and I predicted it to do it. So that I went 4 out of 5 in the visual effects category, but we'll get to that later.
That's what you get for nominating slop.
I thought it was like it's the whole thing is visual effects and it's Disney, so I figured the Academy would be like sure whatever.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, yeah. Have you guys seen Mufasa?
No.
I haven't, just mainly because I haven't been interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I usually see everything, but I've just with the holidays and then just being busy these past few weeks, haven't got the chance to see it. Also, there's not a whole lot of drive and motivation for me to go see it,
I was gonna say there's like
but maybe I'll go see it.
I didn't watch the actual remake of The Lion King because the original Lion King is still very good. It's animated, so it doesn't age.
A live action musical with faces that have a hard time like being animated, you know, like, or at least like showing a lot of expression because they're like photo real animals. You know, for me, that's just jarring. It was the same thing that happened with The Little Mermaid, like with all the fish singing, but they just looked like straight up like fish, you know? And I was like, I just don't like this. It's uncanny. It's weird. And then the scenes where they were actually on the land in The Little Mermaid were like way better because there was like actual like human
Actual
actors
actors.
with capable of acting. You
Yeah.
know? So like and having that visual representation of acting as well. So
Yeah.
that's just my opinion though.
Yeah. It would be fun though, because like it would be fun to bring some more cartoony characteristics into these characters if you are bringing it into live action. And I think I've mentioned this to you guys, but someone, I don't know who published it, but on someone's YouTube channel, they did a few shots of the Lion King from the trailer, and they kind of they like altered the faces to look more in alignment with the cartoon characters, but still have more of a photorealistic look. And it was kind of this in between of, yeah, it's photorealistic, but it still has these cartoonish characteristics that make them who they are and make them kind of unique. So I thought that was cool. And it could be fun to, like, it would have been fun to see that for The Little Mermaid, you know?
Yeah.
I guess my whole, particularly with The Lion King, where we call it a live action remake, it's not even, I mean, it's not even live action. It's all computer
Animated.
Like, yes, you're referencing a real lion for these effects, but it is, I mean, if you've seen the behind the scenes there, it's all computer animated. So it's photorealistic.
Yeah. And it's a massive effort that it's really impressive. It's just, I don't know, I guess like it's just, you're losing something with the storytelling when you're like voice acting these characters, you know.
I guess like why would you want to recreate something that's already been done very well in a format that just
Mr. Krabs' voice. Money.
okay, I get why but why would people as like an audience want to then watch it too? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, obviously people are going to see it.
I mean, yeah, like, I can see
maybe
that.
it's just the three of us. Maybe we're just we're just way too cynical about everything. I don't know.
Well, no, but
No,
it's like,
I get you, Jason. I get you.
yeah, I mean, you put on The Lion King today, the original one. Even if you're like younger audiences haven't been exposed to it, I'm like, man, just re-release it in theaters if
Yeah.
you want to. If you want to make money, you telling me
Yeah.
putting The Lion King in theaters again, putting it in IMAX or something wouldn't. I don't know. I'm ranting. I'm done.
But then I guess that doesn't help them drive money to the already existing property, because they can say, hey, if you like this new Lion King, we already have a world of other Lion King properties, which I'm not saying I agree with, but in terms of Disney,
in terms of making money,
you know, yeah.
No, that makes sense. I just don't like that it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't technically agree with it, but
It's the world we live in. Modern filmmaking.
speaking of money, our sponsor, I'm just kidding.
Speaking of money, we are not sponsored by Honey.
Our
by the
sponsor,
way.
our jobs.
Oh, yeah, our sponsor is me going to work for 40 hours a week. Nosferatu came out also on Christmas,
Banger.
and I took Jason to see this on his birthday. Happy birthday!
Why is
by the
it
way.
you took me? Why isn't it? We just went to the.
I was thinking of that.
Because I
Like,
want to make it about myself.
is that reminds me of like my mom taking me to go see a movie on like my day off of school.
Yeah, it's like Wesley takes. We didn't go to a movie together. You took me.
I took Jason.
Okay.
He owes everything in his life to me.
To be fair, he paid for my ticket because it was my birthday.
I don't know why I said it like that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Jason's sitting in the back seat. Wesley's like, you want to go through a drive-through before the movie?
We can go to
Can we
McDonald's.
Can I get some
chicken
McNuggets?
You can get the Nosferatu toy.
And then we're gonna watch the most dreadful, miserable movie you'll ever watch. Because Nosferatu, I mean that in the best way, though.
You want to see something that's gray, blue, and cold?
Yeah. Viewer discretion
birthday.
advised on Nosferatu for sure. But $157 million worldwide, you take that for a rated R horror movie. And yeah, 7.5 IMDb, solid, 78 Metacritic, solid. I thought it was a really, I don't know if I want to watch it again anytime soon. But it's like a technical achievement and like the sense of like the filmmaking that Robert Eggers does. I feel like every movie he makes just gets better and better, at least in terms of filmmaking and direction. I mean, really great ensemble cast as well. Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp. Who else is in it? Aaron Taylor Johnson. Every movie he does, bro. Even Craven.
Skarsgård.
I like to see the guy. Yeah, Bill Skarsgård plays Nosferatu and has a sick mustache and some really weird makeup on that makes him look gross and terrifying, but it's amazing. So, yeah, really haunting movie, but I think it's thematically pretty tight, well done, and yeah.
Did it have any Christmas tie-in? Because it came out in December, so I was wondering, was it like a holiday type themed movie?
I mean,
or was it?
it took place in the winter. There was snow.
It took place
okay.
around Christmas. There's like a Christmas tree.
Okay.
If you can imagine
I wouldn't call it a Christmas movie though, or at least that's not what I got out of it.
a like mid 19th century German Christmas tree.
Yeah.
No, but and it's cold. It's a cold looking movie. It snows like all the time.
And I do want to emphasize, like, viewer discretion advised on this movie. I don't think everybody's gonna like this movie because of some of the content in it. Like, but anyway, do your research. But if you're into like creepy horror stuff, I think it's really gonna hit for you.
I think if you have already seen some of Robert Eggers' other films, it's definitely worth watching and just keeping up with him as he becomes, honestly, another one of the greats.
Yeah.
I really
liked The Northman as well.
Yeah.
That came out a few years ago. That was my first Robert Eggers movie.
Mine was
It was amazing.
The Witch, and then The Lighthouse some years later. But this movie, and I don't know, I feel like a lot of the things I've seen recently, they've have like a heavy emphasis on the cinematography. There's this shot when Nicholas Holt's character, it's Thomas, I believe, right? Where he's just walking down this like dirt road trying to get to Count Orlok / Nosferatu's like big castle out in like Romania, or Transylvania. It actually shows on the map. And this carriage walks up and it just like slowly opens up. Mm-hmm. That is like such a beautifully looking, like, I guess, sequence. And then him arriving to the castle, and when he gets inside, and you can't, that whole sequence, you can't ever see Orlok's face. He's always covered by a shadow, even though there's like a burning fire going on. It's just so good to look at.
It's beautiful and good to look at, but it's also the stuff of nightmares. So
it makes you feel disgusting.
Yeah.
I felt disgusted.
Yeah. And it's got great horror cinematography.
In a good way.
Like slow tracking, moving shots, or a lot of like still wide shots.
There's no like real jump scares.
There's I think a few jump scares, but it's not.
They're not like jump
it's not like
scares
burdensome
in a traditional sense.
Know,
it's a lot of tension that leads up to something just like horrifying to look at.
Yeah, and believe me, holy cow, Nosferatu is one ugly guy. No offense, but offense. Anyway, Wolfman just came out. Haven't seen it. We have a poster over there that we thought about hanging up on our set, but none of us have seen it. But it's really been disappointing so far. Money, I mean, it did fine in its opening. A lot of people thought it was going to open number 1 at the box office, but it actually didn't. It opened number 3.
Why did people think it was going to open number 1?
Well, because it's like
was nothing else competing that weekend?
Well, I think there's a few reasons. I think a lot of people like that kind of werewolf genre of horror. And I think a lot of people like the director. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he directed The Invisible Man that came out like 2020 or 2021.
I liked that movie.
Which was actually a pretty popular movie. So I think a lot of people were excited about this. But it landed at number 3. It actually landed behind a movie called One of Them Days, which is like it's like two women. It's like a comedy where
One of Them Days.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It's got Keke Palmer in it, who's like in Nope. If you've seen Nope.
Okay.
I've heard it's pretty funny, but I haven't seen it yet. But so yeah, Wolfman opens 3rd behind Mufasa and
One of Them Days.
One of Them Days. So 5.9 IMDb, 51 Metacritic, not great numbers. So looks like it's just disappointing overall.
I mean, the trailer wasn't really that engaging when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's a movie.
Yeah, it's like I go, as often as I go to the theaters, there is sometimes like every single movie you see the trailer, and that's like one of those movies. Last year it was Argyle. It's like, dude, every single movie I saw, it was there. PG movie, rated R movie, it was always playing. Same thing with The Wolfman, just every
always
time.
there.
The same trailer over and over. But yet I still keep arriving early. It's my fault, I guess. But
well, the trailers, I mean, I might be wrong, and it might have been a misleading trailer, but I feel like the trailer just told me what happens in the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, maybe there's
and that's
some
a problem,
surprises,
like,
but
in general. But, like, I saw that, and I was like, oh, okay. Now Don't need to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an offender there for sure of like telling too much in the trailer. Trailers used to do that though back in the day.
They did.
Like the Two Towers trailer, like totally spoiled Gandalf like coming back to life.
Dude, that's right.
But people back there didn't care. Like that's just how movie trailers were.
I guess
That's
I guess
funny.
there's the excuse that like, oh, it's in the book.
Yeah, true.
But nowadays it's like with the MCU and all of these like NDAs that the actors are signing.
Yeah.
And, like every trailer is super carefully crafted to like.
Or the trailers lie, like Infinity Wars.
Oh yeah.
Or has the Hulk.
Yeah.
Or they're like photoshopping characters out of scene. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Trying to throw him off. Yeah, I saw that when I was putting in the Lord of the Ring IMDb movie links for our last episode in the show notes. Like you can see the trailer for the Two Towers playing on IMDb. And like it's not even like a minute in. Very soon Gandalf the White shows up.
Like, well, I guess he's alive.
That happens like halfway through the movie too. It's like late in the movie.
He's like, yes, that is what they used to
I
play.
mean, I guess there is. I mean, there is the books. I guess it's been out at that point. The book had been out for almost 50 years or whatever. But
Yeah.
Still,
it's still like I don't know.
I'm sure there's a big percentage of people who didn't read the books
Mm-hmm.
that saw the movies.
Yeah, and I just think the general like approach to movie trailers is different now than it used to be. So anyway, so yeah, let's get to our news segments. This might be our biggest news segment ever, and I'm excited about it.
We got
the
some
first
biggies.
part I have specifically in my notes. Wesley, don't rage on our first video podcast. So I want to preface this whole conversation by me and Jason really love Dune Part 2 that came out this year or in 2024. Asher, he still hasn't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
He's
all the way
going to see
through.
it.
I haven't seen I haven't seen
But
it all the way
it's on
through
his
yet.
long list of to watch eventually.
And you can see it. I have it. Dune Part 2 is right here if you can't see. And the
You got
book.
the book. It's my book.
And this is Batmobile, by the way, in case
What does
anyone
that got
cares.
to?
But anyway,
You want to come see my room?
so
You guys want to see all my figurines?
yeah, check them out.
My Funkos?
So let's talk about the Academy Award nominations that just released this week.
Let's talk about it.
yummy and delicious.
Let's
so-
talk about it.
You know, it's like if you like sports, you know, you root for your favorite team and you want them to win games, right? And people get really passionate about it. I get really passionate about it. And it's like that with the Academy Awards, right? You want your favorite movies to succeed and get recognized for their hard work, especially some of these categories, like the lesser known categories that like a lot of really hardworking people put in work to do. The ones that should be like less political, right? The ones that, you know, best actor can be very political. It's like who's had the longest career and hasn't won yet. A lot of times is who they give it to. But even like the tech categories is what we call it, or the craft categories, like for example, like cinematography, editing, costume design, things like that. Dune Part 2 got 5 nominations at the Academy Awards. And to put this in perspective, the first Dune won 6 Oscars.
One. Not
It
wasn't
won,
nominated.
and it
one.
got nominated for like 10 or 11, something like that. Dune got nominated 5 times. One was Best Picture, thankfully. Thank goodness. The other 4 were cinematography, thank goodness, production design, sound, and what was the other one? Visual effects. So
Which are still
Very
rightly deserved.
highly
nominations.
deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are it was snubbed a few times. And this is what makes me mad. So the biggest snub, obviously, like Denis Villeneuve, director,
Best director.
didn't get in, which I think was kind of like people knew that was going to happen because he didn't get nominated at like the Golden Globes. He didn't get nominated here and there throughout the award season. The times he did get nominated, it was when there was like an expanded pool of nominees, like 6 or 10 or whatever. So we kind of knew that was going to happen, but it still makes me mad
Yeah.
because some of the movies that got in, let's just talk about some of these other movies real quick. Emilia Perez got 13 nominations, which is tied for second most all time. Wicked got nominated 10 times. The Brutalist, which we have the poster up here, by the way, good movie, got nominated 10 times. There's a few other movies. A Complete Unknown, which is like a Bob Dylan biopic, got nominated 8 times. So Dune gets 5. And I know I'm a big Dune fan. I know I'm biased. But the fact that Emilia Perez almost like tripled the amount of nominations that Dune Part 2 got, to me is mind-boggling. And I think maybe it's worth talking about Emilia Perez. And I don't want anybody to like think we're, you know, I don't want to like make any enemies on our first video podcast. So Emilia Perez talks about a lot of like sensitive modern day subjects. I
was gonna say, before we even get into that, I guess just like Dune Part 2 in a vacuum, or not even in a vacuum, but just like as a film, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how you can sit down and watch that and tell me that Denis Villeneuve doesn't deserve to be at least get the nod for Best Director.
Yeah. The other, so let's talk about Best Director then, so we don't lose track of that. Emilia Perez gets nominated for Best Director. James Mangold, who you might know him from like Logan and Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny last year, right? Was that him?
Oh,
I think that was him. Which I don't blame him for that. I think that movie had a lot of other problems. So I don't like dislike James Mangold. He directed A Complete Unknown, which is, you know, the Bob Dylan movie. That one, it's fine. It's a musical biopic. If you've seen one, you've seen them all, right? Like if you've seen Elvis, if you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, like all of these movies, they're pretty similar. A Complete Unknown in Best Director, to me, it like doesn't need to be there, you know? And I think a lot of people agree with that. A movie called The Substance got nominated for Best Director, which is a horror movie. And by the way, I think that's one of like 5 horror movies in nearly 100 years of the Academy Awards that got nominated for Best Picture, which is crazy. I think only one has ever won like Best Director and Best Picture, which was The Silence of the Lambs back in the 90s. And The Brutalist, got nominated for Best Director. That 5, to me, like, that's a really weak. I've seen all 5 of those. I've seen 4 of those movies all the way through, and I've seen Emilia Perez. I've seen most of the movie. I haven't seen the whole thing.
Well, okay, so like, I think The Brutalist definitely deserves to be up there.
Absolutely. That is the one I'm hoping wins out of the nominees. And then if it doesn't... and Anora also got nominated. Sean Baker.
And then The Substance, I can see why you'd want to at least nominate that for Best Director. When you think about films that you're drawing a lot out, like you're demanding a lot from your actor or actress, a lot of that can be like from the director. So I like The Substance being there. But everything else just feels like we need to fill spots. Oh, and also we're gonna gatekeep Dune for some reason.
Yeah. And like like when you watch Dune Part 2, you see like, I mean, this is one of the best sci-fi movies like we've ever seen. Like, especially like in this past like decade or since 2000, like this century. It's definitely probably one of the best of the decade, if not the century so far. And if it's not your favorite is probably also a movie that's directed by Denis Villeneuve, like in the sci-fi genre, by the way. To me, it's like this movie has everything in it. Like this should have got nominated in every single category. Like that. I mean, that's how good it was. Like cinematography, it missed costume design for whatever reason. I don't know why Bob Dylan biopic gets costume design over Dune or Emilia Perez. Like Emilia Perez doesn't have like, I mean, it's not like the costuming's bad, but it's just like pretty standard costuming, you know, that you would expect with like a, you know, like a modern day setting. And not that I don't think contemporary movies can't have like costume design worth recognizing, but if you look at like that and Dune back to back, you're like, okay,
the Harkonnens.
There's the Harkonnens. The
Imperial family.
There's the the
Fremen.
Florence Pugh's like costumes are like so unique and elaborate. The Bene Gesserit with their robes, the Harkonnens, the I mean, the Fremen have this huge like meeting in the movie, like the Northern Fremen and the Southern Fremen,
And they have
get together.
distinct
There's like
robes and
dozens,
clothes.
hundreds, if not like thousands of unique costumes that were made for this movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that it gets snubbed for that is just puzzling. Like, I don't know why you would want to gatekeep that from the costume design. You know, a lot of times these big blockbuster movies that have like prestige to them, if they don't get in director or picture or whatever, they're still getting like these tech nominations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your
And
point,
by the way, Dune Part 1 won the Oscar for costume design, which
well, maybe it's because they just think like we already gave you your stuff.
I think that goes into what it is. And that's ridiculous to me. That's so dumb. That's a dumb reason not to vote for a movie.
If you execute it again, because this is a continuation of a story, and from what I've seen so far, it doesn't fit within a sequel status. Like, this is a very strong movie, and
Yeah.
it just continues to enhance the story. So if you execute something well, regardless of it being a second installment or a new movie, shouldn't you just be looking at the execution?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think part of it also is there's movies like Wicked that came out that also did a lot of really impressive things that probably were maybe taking some votes away from Dune. Emilia Perez, though, to me, it's just mind-boggling that this movie is like stealing nominations from movies that actually deserved it. Also, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga,
Didn't get anything.
0 nominations, and the predecessor Fury Road won like 6-7 Oscars.
Wow.
And like, you can argue that Furiosa does the same things just as well, if not better, you know, in terms of those technical categories.
It's also 10
These
years later, though.
massive rigs that were created, like huge sets. Like, you
Yeah.
can't even give it a sound nomination with all of this excellent like sound design for these vehicles.
Yeah.
But
It also
Emilia
has great
Perez,
costumes.
Complete Unknown, gets a sound nomination. Like, is that because you like the songs in it? Like, is that what we're nominating best sound on? Like, I don't know. But to me, it's confusing. It's frustrating to me because these people like genuinely made one of the best works of fiction we've seen like in a while, or at least one of the best sci-fi epic movies. Like, when was the last time we've seen a movie like as grand and spectacle as Dune Part 2? Like, maybe you could argue the Avatars, but Dune does even more than Avatar does. Avatar is a lot of like visual effects, but yeah, I don't know.
It's like who won the Super Bowl last year?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Chiefs.
It's like the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl last year, you know, and then they come back, they win the Super Bowl again this year, and then everyone's like, yeah, you did really good, but
Because you won last year.
because you won last year.
We're not gonna let you like. we're gonna like force you to withdraw after like the first round of the playoffs or something.
Like,
It's just-
that's what it kind of feels like.
I don't know. It's not like the perfect metaphor, but yeah, I mean, it feels like this is just like something. I don't know. Like, it's taken away from him. And Emilia Perez, I have not seen a single person. I've watched dozens of reviews on this movie. Like, I've really tried to find people that like actually were passionate about this movie. This movie has a 6.4 on IMDb, which is the same score that Red One got on IMDb. Red One, the Save Santa Christmas movie that is talked about as one of the worst movies of 2024. The Metacritic has it at a 71, and a lot of those, and there wasn't a single review that was higher than like an 8 out of 10 or something. You know, like, it's a musical that it has a lot of issues with it, like that go beyond even the content in the movie. But it's a movie that's directed by a Frenchman who self-admittedly like didn't study the culture of Mexico hardly at all. And this movie takes place in Mexico with supposedly Mexican characters played by Zoe Saldana, Selena Gomez, who don't speak Spanish natively. They had to learn Spanish for this movie. Mexicans were very critical with how they spoke Spanish. Like, some of the words weren't the correct words. Like,
Well, even the musical,
contextually,
the way they sing, it doesn't make a lot of sense in Spanish.
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense
speak
in
Spanish,
Spanish.
by the
It was written and directed by somebody that speaks French as his primary language and doesn't speak Spanish at all, by the way. I mean, maybe like a little bit, but not like fluently by any means. And it has a character that is at the center of it who is like transitioning, right? So yeah, that person was a drug cartel leader who like murders and kidnaps and like does all the drug cartels people, which in real life, those people like actually cause millions of people to suffer every day. And turns that person into a hero, like in the movie, like as of like transitioning suddenly like absolves you of all of your, you know, wrongdoing.
Yeah. They don't actually like pay for what
like
they did.
even like people that are like in the LGBTQ, you know, community are also like criticizing the movie. So like, who is the movie for? And I really think that, you know, if Mexicans don't like the movie, if LGBT people don't like the movie, if people that aren't part of either of those communities don't like the movie, why is it so successful in the awards? And the best theory that I can come up with is that the Oscars like wanted to vote for something that felt important, I guess. Like they wanted to go for a movie that was like talking about hot button issues in society. And then they were like, oh, I guess we'll pick this one. And not only that, we're going to give it as many Oscar nominations as we gave Oppenheimer last year. Tied for the second most all time. You know, it's just puzzling to me. Like, where's the base audience for this movie outside of these people voting on the awards? Like, I really don't know. It's puzzling. I know I'm talking so much, guys. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm not trying to dominate the conversation.
I was prepared. We know
we were ready.
When you texted the group chat the other day, I was prepared for, you know, just the thoughts to come in, and this is a safe place.
And I'm just thinking of like this masterful work of the costume design. And Dune Part 2, some of the best costume design you'll ever see. Can't get a nomination, but Emilia Perez is there. And like, that's not a movie that has like I said earlier, like elaborate costuming. A Complete Unknown, I guess has like period piece, like 1960s costuming, which like that's not the worst thing, but like, would I put that in over Dune? Absolutely not. You know, Nosferatu got in, by the way, which thank goodness, like
also
that deserved
a period
it.
piece.
Nosferatu got 4 nominations, which is not as much as I think it should have, but that was more than I thought I was going to get, right?
Yeah.
Robert Eggers has never gotten more than like 1 nomination. I think all of his movies combined had 1 Oscar nomination, which was cinematography for The Lighthouse. The Northman didn't get anything, which is a shame. And then now this one gets 4. So maybe Robert Eggers has his moment coming soon.
Yeah.
But
like to kind of backtrack a little bit, I think like historically, or at least maybe in the last like 15-ish years, there's just been this big issue of Hollywood being completely disconnected from the audience more often than it is connected to it. And I think you see a lot of that in Marvel, in Star Wars, and a lot of these other like really popular properties that are really meant for large general audiences. And maybe Marvel's actually kind of doing a little bit better, and we're going to touch on that a little bit later with some more news on that. But like, I think of like the sequel trilogy to Star Wars, and then all the TV shows that's come out since then, and most recently, like The Acolyte and stuff like that, where it's just they just like outright ignore, or either they ignore like maliciously just ignore it, or just never notice that no one is asking for these stories to be told.
yeah, like I'm not opposed to like people telling stories like this. Like, you know, I may not agree with every story that you're telling, but like if you present it well, if it's executed well, then I think you deserve recognition. But like even seeing like this movie has 2 best song nominations, and it's going to probably win in that category. But I actually, there's a YouTube video you can watch. It's like, I think it's called like the worst movie song ever or something. And it's from Emilia Perez. And it's genuinely bad. Like, I'm not trying to discredit anybody, but like, I don't think there's anybody that's going to watch that and be like, oh, I enjoyed that. It's just really poorly like dubbed in. You know, it's not live singing, which by the way, there's another musical that came out this year that is nominated for like awards, like Wicked, that is way better. It's a way better musical. It's way better storytelling. I mean, outside of maybe like Zoe Saldana, who looks like the only one that's actually trying, and Emilia Perez, like there's just like not any like great performances in that movie. And yeah, it's just if you're going to nominate a musical, nominate Wicked. Like they did nominate it in a lot of places, probably even over nominated a little bit. But if you're going to give it a best director, not like best director to a musical, give it to John Chu for Wicked instead of Jacques Audiard for a man who like admitted like he didn't even like research. And there are also things that they shoehorned into the screenplay after people were complaining, like, oh, this character is actually not technically born and raised in Mexico. That's why they sound different. But they added that, like, it's not even told by the movie, but they're just saying these things. Oh, well, technically Selena Gomez's character grew up here, you know. It's just, yeah, I don't know. To me, it's frustrating. Like, why does this need a best editing nomination? Dune didn't get into editing, by the way. We didn't even talk about that.
And
oh
might
my
I,
gosh.
And might I say, like, Timothy's character Paul Atreides summoning attracting the sandworm and riding the sandworm. That alone is a beautifully edited scene.
A beautifully edited and directed scene.
Sound
That's
design,
like one of the
beautiful.
most iconic scenes ever in a like science fiction, like just novel in general, right?
I think in general, that's just
and
like a
the
really
way he
like,
adapted that to the screen. With Dune, by the
amazing.
way, yeah, and that leads me to like adapted screenplay didn't get nominated. Guess what did?
Emilia Perez.
Yeah, you know?
I didn't even know it was something that was adapted.
Ooh, that's a good question. But I think it's an adapted because I think it was loosely based off of a movie, but
See, before you sent a text
or
about
not a movie.
Before you sent a
Like a
text
book.
about this movie, I first like this shows. Well, I didn't know Emilia Perez was a movie, and when you first texted about it, I thought you were talking about an actress at first.
No, Emilia Perez is the name of the main character.
Yeah, but
Yeah, adapted screenplay.
okay, wow.
So they over Dune, A Complete Unknown, which is mostly Bob Dylan songs. I'm not even kidding. Like, this is the musical biopic that has more songs than like any other musical biopic I've ever heard in it. Like,
it has his entire discography.
the talking scenes to me were like fine, but again, it was like, does this like Dune has like an incredibly complex and dense plot and storytelling, complex web of characters. Really like important, like if you want to talk about important issues, we texted about this.
Yeah.
Like Dune actually addresses some really important things that are relevant, right? Like this idea of like manipulating minority populations for resources, very prevalent in today's society. The idea of like this idea of like a white savior, right? I'm not trying to be like super like woke or anti-woke or anything, but like just how like that can be exploited,
or like
how,
having a zealous following of a charismatic like person.
yeah, or like just the idea of like imperialism, you know, all of these things being addressed in a wickedly entertaining sci-fi movie that's sounds beautiful. I mean, the cinematography, like that shot of like the overhead shot of all of like the Fremen and like Paul walking through it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, gorgeous.
And the shot of like
shot.
Of him walking with the sandworm.
Oh yeah.
That's like right before him walking through the crowd. He shows up and there's sandworms like jumping behind him.
Oh yeah. And getting like perfect lighting, filming in deserts, and that shot of the Harkonnens at the beginning, like floating.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
like when they walk and then
they jump and they
Yeah.
float up this
Yeah.
like mountain or like cliff.
monumental achievement in like cinematography.
when I saw that, they just like floated / flew up the side and scaled up the side of that canyon. I was like,
Now, thankfully, it did get nominated in cinematography. If it got snubbed there, I'd be like, what do you want from a cinematography like nominee?
Yeah.
Like, and I really hope that it wins. Like, I think the best thing that the Academy could do is just give it all 4 of those like tech awards. You know,
yeah,
I don't think it's going to even sniff winning Best Picture. It might win. It might get like 10th place,
I mean,
but
to be fair, if The Brutalist does win, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I really think The Brutalist might be Best Picture.
with all that said, like, I don't think Emilia Perez is actually going to win Best Picture because I don't think it's going to win Best Director, and I don't think it's going to win Adapted Screenplay. And we haven't had in over 20 years like a movie win Best Picture without winning one of those two awards. The last one was like Chicago that won. And guess what movie won Director and Screenplay that year that should have won Best Picture? The Pianist.
Adrian Brody.
But Hollywood, they can't help themselves. They couldn't help themselves. They had to vote for the the big old like the movie about like a Broadway, like, Hollywood stuff. Anyway,
they couldn't help but pat themselves on the back.
Yeah, I was like, come on, you're not gonna vote for this, Holocaust masterpiece. Man. Maybe it was because it was Roman Polanski and he's got a sketchy past, but they gave him Best Directors. I don't know. Anyway,
a travesty, truly
a travesty. Furioso, nothing. A Real Pain didn't get into Best Picture. Man, that hurt. Kieran Culkin.
That was a real pain for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I talked about this in our recommendations a few months ago. Kieran Culkin got nominated. He's probably actually going to win for Best Supporting Actor.
Well, I don't know. Guy Pearce might.
Guy Pearce is nominated, but I don't think he's... Kieran Culkin has been winning everything so far. And it also got an original screenplay as well, which I don't think
is going to win. Was The Brutalist even eligible for the Golden Globes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, The Brutalist won Best Drama.
Okay.
At the Golden Globes, and Emilia Perez won Best Comedy Musical.
It's a comedy.
So it's a musical.
Oh, it's comedy / musical.
Which really that category is like comedy musical and also genre film because they put the substance there, which the substance is absolutely not a comedy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it has like funny parts in it, but holy cow.
Just reading the synopsis doesn't make me think it's a comedic movie.
Yeah.
Or a musical. Like, I was kind of surprised that it's
Emilia Perez?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a musical, and it's not even the best musical that came out this year. But
yeah.
I mean, I genuinely, like, would have picked the songs in Moana 2 over Emilia Perez. Like, and Moana 2 had the most, like, forgettable Disney songs ever. Like, that's how, like, bad some of these music, like, songs are.
Man.
And Zoe Saldana is the front runner to win supporting actress, even though she should be in the lead actress category. She has the most screen time, and the whole movie is like about her essentially.
Is she
category
fraud? Is she the lawyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she the reason why they split it up is because they don't want two people competing. Like movies don't want two people competing in the same category for the same movie. So
makes sense.
Anyway, we've talked a lot about the Oscars, and Dune got 5. It should have got 11, in my opinion. Sorry.
I was gonna say, when we first met, I've been telling you since day one, bro. The Oscars, they blow, bro.
Bro, last year they were so good though. Like, I guess I had hope because like.
What else came out, bro? Oppenheimer came out, and that was it. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon,
and Barbie.
But 7 out of
Sweepenheimer, bro.
So 7 out of 10 of my top 10 movies of the last year got nominated for Best Picture, which is like the most I think that's since I've followed it. But this year,
validated.
This year, The Brutalist was in my top 10, which I actually made a list, and The Brutalist wasn't on that, but I saw it after
the list.
So The Brutalist was on there. Wicked was like in my top 10. I think that might be it. Oh, and Dune, obviously. Yeah, Dune got... I forgot. Yes, Dune actually did get nominated for Best Picture. Thank goodness. So that's like maybe 3 out of 10. I might be forgetting one. I don't know. But and the last thing I'll say about this, because it's already almost an hour.
We're good. It's all good.
But the best score category, Dune Part 2 was actually declared ineligible for this because it like reused some themes from the first movie, which is so ridiculous, by the way. That is the dumbest reason to, like, if you're going to do that, be consistent with it, right? Wicked got nominated for Best Score. And Wicked is a musical that already existed on Broadway.
And the songs don't count for score update,
right? Yes, there is unique themes being added, but like so is there in Dune Part 2. And every single Star Wars movie in existence, I think, almost every single Star Wars movie has been nominated for Best Score. And John Williams is using the same themes that he's used in the past and adding new ones. This is exactly what Hans Zimmer did in Dune. I don't know how they came to that conclusion. Maybe I'm missing something, but it's just puzzling because I think Dune Part 2, I mean, it was my best score of the year on my personal list. And I think a lot of people would agree.
But the score, this is what I'm curious about. The score is different than the songs of the musical, though, because the songs in a musical that the characters sing usually fall within the soundtrack. And so was there enough? I didn't see Wicked. I wasn't really interested. Was there enough of a score in Wicked for it to be impactful? Because technically, in my thoughts, technically the songs that they sung aren't the score. That's the soundtrack. And there's a difference. Like there's a soundtrack for a movie, there's a score for a movie. And the score is usually the more orchestral music you hear that accompanies the movie as it's progressing, the story,
Yeah. I guess I would have to do more research into like how much of Wicked is like original composition. Because that's that's the title of the category is original score.
Original score.
Right? So I'm just puzzled why Wicked gets a nomination. And not that it did have a good score. I just don't think it's an original score.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dune Part 2 is ineligible is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And we also forgot to mention makeup and hairstyling snub as well for Dune.
Really, really quickly though, like, is there, when they're saying they're nominating score, they aren't talking about the songs that they sing?
No, because it's called Best Original Score. There's movies in the past, like a movie called Tar that came out a few years ago that was declared ineligible because most of the music was like from Gustav Mahler, who's a classical composer.
So for my brain, for my head, the Suicide Squad, which has a lot of music in it.
Oh yeah,
that is its soundtrack.
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
Separate from its score, if it even had one.
Yeah, a soundtrack is using pre-existing songs, like
or the songs that they made like a musical.
Or so like in La La Land, like those songs are original, but that's not the score.
Correct.
I think if it's original, like it can be
a part
if
of
it's
it.
like an original musical.
But they're only talking about the music, not the singing, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of times you don't see musicals get nominated for score. Like I don't think it is pretty rare that it actually happens. And like Wicked did this year. Did Amelia Perez probably did. I don't even know.
Well, so like in my head, a score is different than, is a separate thing than a soundtrack or the song sung in a musical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted
two musicals got original score this year.
Okay.
Amelia Perez. I think with Amelia Perez, they were just like, and Wicked too. I think they had good vibes about the movies and were just like, yeah, I'm just gonna vote for everywhere. Where Dune came out in March and just the good vibes probably like deteriorated over time.
How does a movie like Dune Part 2, how do the good vibes diminish? Like,
I don't know, man.
People's memories are short, man.
What they should have maybe done like a re-release or something. I don't know if they did, but
Re-releases are tacky.
But Everything Everywhere All at Once
Re-releases
won
are
Best
tacky.
Picture and released like in February or March. So like it's not impossible, right? It's all about narratives, and merit usually falls by the wayside. Makeup and hairstyling. I mean, freaking Stellan Skarsgård was in a fat suit and had to do his makeup for like 8 hours every morning or something. Like, I don't know how you don't nominate that either. But whatever.
The Skarsgårds and looking disgusting in movies.
So that is my passionate defense and thoughts of Dune Part 2 at the Oscars this year. Absolutely snubbed. And the author and auteur of all of that was Denis Villeneuve, of this incredible achievement in directing. Didn't get nominated. Just a shame. Just a shame.
Shame.
So I think a movie like Anora might win Best Picture, or a movie like The Brutalist or Amelia Perez, I think, are the top three. Maybe Conclave, I don't know, but
that's
Conclave might just win screenplay and that be it. If Amelia Perez wins like Best Director, yeah, I mean, it's going to get Best Picture, but I think Anora has a good chance because it's probably going to win Original Screenplay, and it has a good chance to win director. And if it wins both of those, yeah. But if Corbet wins director, you know, who knows? We'll just have to wait until we hear the announcement. But
we shall wait.
I mean, I guess it is possible that Emilia Perez wins without director screenplay. But like, if it's cleaning up, I mean, it's going to win best song. It's going to win supporting actress, and it's probably going to win film editing. Which, yeah, Dune. I feel like if Dune was nominated there, it probably would win. But like, they just didn't nominate it. It's a sad story. Dune will definitely win visual effects, though, and probably sound. So I think it's got 2 in the bag, but it should have like 8 or 9 in the bag.
Who's counting anyways?
Well, whatever.
Who's keeping track?
Timothy Chalamet did get nominated, but not for Dune.
He got nominated for A Complete Unknown.
Complete Unknown.
Bob Dylan.
And, anyway, so... Anyway.
Do you feel good? Do you feel better?
I feel better. I don't feel better, but I feel better, I guess. It's good to rant, but also like that doesn't make it go away. But it's okay. You know, let's do our own award ceremony sometime. We should do that.
That would be cool. We could call it the Slaties.
We can call it the Slaties. Is that a
Or the
problematic?
Slaters.
I think that's a...
The Slaters.
The Slaters.
The Slaters.
The Slate.
This is a problem for December.
We'll figure it out.
I have
That's
all
an
of
awesome
my
idea.
There's this great app that I use called the Award Expert that you can like put all your favorites in lists and also your predictions.
I got everything in my head.
So yeah,
Jason's
I mean, in my
locked and
personal
loaded.
list, Dune wins like picture, director, screenplay, cinematography, visual effects,
Dune's
sound
overrated,
score.
bro. Dune's overrated.
Yeah. So okay. Tom Cruise. Let's talk about him. Asher, I'll let you take this one. I need to drink water.
Let's do it. Let me open up my notes here. So, this came out in 2000. This came out in December of 2024. So, the Secretary of the Navy, Carlos Del Toro, presents Tom Cruise with the Distinguished Public Service Award. And it's not funny to me. It's just, I smile when I said that. It just sounds funny. Distinguished is a funny word. Yeah, I thought this was really interesting just because of, you know, the movies that have revolved around the military with Tom Cruise in it. And you might be wondering, what is the Distinguished Public Service Award for his dedication?
I am wondering.
Well,
you serve the public distinguishedly.
The America's Navy, Navy.mil website has more information. So it says here, his efforts in the film industry have increased public awareness and appreciation for the Navy's highly trained personnel and the sacrifices they make while in uniform. He was also recognized for his outstanding contributions to the Navy and Marine Corps. So I thought this was pretty interesting. This happened on December 17th of last year, 2024. And Tom Cruise said in a quote, "It was an honor to present..." Oh, wait, no, this isn't his quote. This is the secretary's quote. This is the secretary's quote. "It was an honor to present Tom Cruise with a Defense Public Service Award for his decades of naval advocacy through many movies. His work has inspired generations to serve in our Navy and Marine Corps." So Cruise has made a wide range of contributions to the Department of the Navy from 1986 to 2023, it says. So that's like spending nearly 4 decades as an unwavering supporter of the men, women, and families within the Navy and the Marine Corps. This is pretty cool. I mean, I'm not like a huge Tom Cruise fan. I'm not like a huge fan of like all the movies, but the fact that you're making movies that do well, I'm not saying all of them have, but especially I know Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick have been incredible hits. As an example, you know, the fact that you can do something artistically and execute on that well, but then also to generate this other form of return by people getting excited for these branches of military, I thought was something really interesting. And Yeah, something I thought was definitely worth talking about.
Yeah.
Is Top Gun Maverick propaganda for the military-industrial complex? It is. And you know what? My brother in Christ, it worked.
I mean,
Triple the defense budget.
He triple. Joe Biden watched Top Gun Maverick and was like, "Yeah, triple the defense budget."
He's like, "We need more aircraft carriers and more really awesome, super cool fighter jets.
We need more mustache men in the Air Force." Wait,
Yeah.
Top Gun is Air Force, right? Or is it Navy?
It's Navy because
Navy.
all the
Because they
planes
fly for the Navy.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Navy gave him the award.
Right.
You
okay.
know, believe it or not.
I just wanted to clarify.
Fun fact: the Navy has a larger Air Force than our actual Air Force. That's true.
Wait, where is this fact coming from?
They have more planes and stuff.
This is our every episode. Jason makes a claim that
Has been true every time. I
he
do not
makes a
lie.
claim, and he
planes
has
and
had a
stuff.
good track record, but we still need people to fact check these things.
Yeah.
But anyway.
If that's true, that's actually very interesting.
Well, think about it. All the aircraft carriers have like a dozen fighter jets and helicopters on them.
Yeah, I mean that honestly wouldn't be
Oh,
surprised if
man.
that's true. So
The Air I want to
Jason's like, it is true. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean he's I guess got people excited about the military and like honored like their work that they do and the hard work. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was about.
Yeah. Which, I think is pretty cool. But kind of the last thing that was interesting was the article also says the success of this portrayal. Oh wait, let me give some back. Some context. So, Top Gun Maverick brought nostalgia to older audiences and reinvigorated younger viewers and their interest in the skill sets and opportunities the Navy provides. Okay. The success of this portrayal led to Cruise being named the U.S. Navy's 36th honorary naval aviator.
Wow.
So
he does know how to fly jets and stuff. That a lot of that stuff
true.
in Top Gun Maverick. We should do a Top Gun Maverick episode sometime. I think that'd be great. But
that's true.
to talk about this more,
I haven't seen Top Gun, but I did see Top Gun Maverick, kind of like on a whim. Like, my wife and I were in Savannah, Georgia, for a wedding, and I was with the groomsmen and the groom, and they were gonna go see Top Gun Maverick as like a night before the wedding thing, and they went all out. They went to see it in IMAX too, and so I was very.
we saw that.
Yeah. I don't know if it was an I think it was a
It was
Dolby.
you, me, and our friend from work, and I think maybe somebody else.
It was cool to see in the IMAX, just
Yeah.
from a visual and sound standpoint. Like when Tom Cruise in the beginning when he flies over Ed Harris, as Ed Harris is like standing there, telling Tom Cruise like don't take off, and like Tom Cruise just like flies right over him, and all the air blasts just comes and just
Yeah. Dude,
I probably just
incredible.
went boof right into
Oscar
the
winner for
microphone.
best sound, by the way.
Oh, the
okay.
Oscars again, huh?
Yeah, the Oscars again. I can't drop it.
Dude.
Anyways.
Top Gun Maverick is a movie that makes you want to go like, yeah, let's go to the bar and drink some beers, guys.
Maybe for you.
Oh, not you?
No.
Yeah. So, anyway, good for Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
American hero. Also a really weird guy.
Scientologist.
Yeah.
Gotta raise them feet levels.
So, one of my favorite movies in the last couple years.
Dune?
is The Batman.
We have props now.
And there's a second movie that is supposedly going to come out at some point.
Supposedly.
And it was supposed to come out in
Hypothetically.
2026. And then they said 2027. But
this
then
movie
James
in
Gunn
the
was actually like,
universe?
no, it's 2026. And then they pushed it back to 2027. I don't know what's going on. I'm sad because it'll be a 5-year gap between the first and the second movie.
Shoo.
Robert Pattinson will be in his 40s at that time. I don't think that really matters that much, honestly, but because he still looks like a young guy. But
Young buck.
they said that Matt Reeves said that they're going to start production this year. So,
He's saying, I've got a script. It's almost done.
and James Gunn is very particular because James Gunn's in charge of DC movies right now.
He's the CEO.
He's the CEO, co-CEO of DC Studios, which is in control of all, like, I think, film and television related things with DC.
Filmavision.
Yes, Filmavision.
Yes, James Gunn is the CEO of DC Studios.
And I think on the one hand, so far, I think his philosophy that he's described I really, really like it. Where he said, we will not start filming or casting until you have a script ready. So
that's smart.
Which I think is really smart. Matt Reeves, apparently, and this is what people are saying, is that he is very slow with writing a script. And Matt Reeves is the writer-director of the Batman. He's going to be doing the same thing for the second one.
Which there's nothing wrong with being slow as a writer. Nothing
wrong with that. Yeah. It's just, as a big fan, I'm wanting to see more. I'm like, you got to wait 2 more years.
Got to wait for
more than 2 years.
Got to wait for the wine to ripen and be ready.
So, but we'll get some DC movies in the meantime. We'll get Superman this summer, and we'll get Supergirl next summer. So, and also I think there's going to be some TV shows popping up here and there, like Peacemaker, Lanterns. So we'll have some stuff to tide us over. The Penguin just came out this year, so that's a little bit that tied us over. Colin Farrell just won Best Actor at the Golden Globes for that, by the way.
Do you think that because he was heavily involved with the Penguin, do you think that kept him from actually getting a script done?
Well, Matt Reeves was a producer. He didn't actually write or direct any of the Penguin.
Well, I know, but being a producer, especially like I imagine he was super involved.
And a lot of that was shot back in like last year, you know. So I don't know if that, which is weird because I feel like a lot of these scripts are actually typically written pretty quick. At least that's what's happened in the MCU, right? And maybe we've seen the negative effects of that, right? But Matt Reeves has a very slow writing process. I think he's an excellent writer. I mean, I think the Batman was really well written movie. Just with like the detective story that it had, all the different characters and how they interwove. Like, it didn't feel like just a full-on action romp the whole time. Like, it felt like there was actual genuine like thematic development. There was character development, like genuine interactions that were meaningful to the story with dialogue. I mean, it was almost 3 hours, but I still thought it was pretty well paced. I know not everybody agrees with that, and that's fine. But I think it was a really well written movie. I think he's a good writer, excellent director. Directed the second and the third Planet of the Apes reboot.
That's right.
That's kind of where he got his big break. And obviously did the Batman, which, you know, was my favorite movie of 2022 that year. One of my favorite like comic book movies of all time.
Yeah.
So excited to see where that goes, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be part of the DCU instead of being an Elseworld, you know, but nobody really knows anything at this point.
Man, it's better to release something late than to release something incomplete or bad.
So,
or you can just make it and then not release it and have it as a tax write-off, like Batgirl.
The Batgirl. David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers, went on a rampage when he first got the job a couple years ago. He's like, "You're getting cut, and you're getting cut. This whole film that's been shot and in post-production and ready to go." Cut.
Like, oh my gosh.
Anyway, we'll see. Who knows? So a couple episodes ago, we talked about Greta Gerwig's Narnia film.
Narnia.
And how it's being produced by Netflix. So now we have confirmation that it will have a theatrical release. And this will be like a full theatrical release will be, I think, a first for Netflix. Yeah. If they're even still producing it. I don't even know if they backed out or what.
No, Netflix is still a part of it.
So that is good.
Yeah.
I don't think that changes my skepticisms of the movie, really, but I think that's better for movie fans.
Yeah.
For sure.
Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I think, like I said the last time we talked about it, is like, I don't know what Netflix's hesitation is. They can make money off of having it in theaters and then streaming it.
Well, you're right, but movie theaters are their number one competition. That's the
it doesn't have to be if they're a production they can make money from doing that. The idea that people are going to see it in theaters and then not watch it again on your streaming platform is
dumb.
Yeah, people like I watch things again on Netflix.
It's like, hey
I
guys.
don't actually have a subscription right now, but
It's like, hey guys, we are so glad you are here. Before we start the movie, can one of y'all log in to Netflix so that we can play Narnia for you guys? We're really happy to show it, but we need one of y'all to log in, please.
You know what movie was produced by Netflix? Amelia Paris.
is it really?
Yes.
Well, did that get a theatrical release?
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
Nope.
Oh.
Well, if it makes you feel better, the co-CEO of Netflix, Todd Sarandos, has finally and officially agreed to an exclusive IMAX run for Greta Gerwig's big budget Narnia movie. Says Puck.news. Yeah. Netflix tells the author that the film will hit about 1,000 IMAX screens worldwide on Thanksgiving Day in 2026 and will not appear on Netflix until Christmas.
I mean, that's a short window, but
Yeah.
for Netflix,
It is a
pretty
short
good.
window. Yeah. And based off of another article I read too, Greta was talking about how she, like, irregardless of where she is with the way that the books align with certain faith, she wants to stay authentic and true to the source material.
That's all I ask.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
So I hope it turns out really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think if that's true, I think this could be like a really, really good movie. Mm-hmm. You know, because Greta Gerwig is, I mean, by the time she retires, she might be like one of the best directors ever. You know, and I think, I'm interested to see how it goes. I think she's a great director, and if she stays true to the source material of C.S. Lewis, who's, you know, which, did we put his books on here?
No, not at the moment.
Maybe for a future set we'll have them, but yeah, love the guy, one of my favorite authors of all time, and
I hope
she can direct the heck out of a movie.
I hope that the first one's successful enough to where they want to film the rest of them back to back. Because the issue with the original run of films or adaptations is that the actors and actresses, they aged out.
Yeah.
So I would like to get a full adaptation of all the books, if possible.
That would be really cool.
Or at least all the ones with the main series cast. I know the the Professor's Apprentice or whatever, that's technically separate.
Yeah, the type of fantasy that Narnia is, I don't think is like the most like trendy type today, but I don't know.
But maybe people want
why
it.
not?
Why couldn't it be? You know,
Yeah.
it's more like, to use a Jason word, like whimsical. Like it's kind of like more, it's not like the dark fantasy Game of Thrones, like.
I mean, Star Wars was pretty fresh when Star Wars first came out, you know.
And maybe it's one of those things that people just want again.
But I think people will go to see it.
I think things cycle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
particularly like Christian audiences, but
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, everybody that just likes fantasy movies. Fantasy
Yeah.
is I think a fantasy is such an underused genre. Like, it's just, you have to put like a lot into it,
To world build and
it's hard to make a low budget like fantasy movie, because you've got like so many things you got to think about and put to screen. But
Well, there might have been some fatigue. Like in the mid 2000s, there was a lot of book adaptations of fantasy. You had like the Inheritance series, which was like Aragorn, the dragon books.
or Aragon.
Aragon.
yeah.
Not Aragorn. You had that. You had the the Golden Compass, the polar bear movie.
Yeah. The one
And
that
then
was
you had
like,
the original Narnia too,
yeah.
or the original adaptations. So I think, and those all came out following the Lord of the Rings. So I think like many things, people just kind of got, I don't want to watch this. And a lot of that stuff was low quality too, compared to something like the Lord of the Rings.
The masterpiece of Lord of the Rings.
Back in my day, they used to make faithful adaptations of fantasy movies. And now we get the Rings of Power, whatever the heck that is. So,
Well,
But it's been 20 years, so.
Do you want me to if we're moving on, do you want me to end y'all with a quote from Greta that
Do it.
hopefully will encourage you?
let's go, Greta.
Give me some encouragement.
So
quotes.
from movieguide.org, Greta says, I'm slightly in the place of terror because I really do have such a reverence for Narnia. I loved Narnia so much as a child. As an adult, C.S. Lewis is a thinker and a writer. I'm intimidated by doing this. It's something that feels like a worthy thing to be intimidated by. As a non-British person, I feel a particular sense of wanting to do it correctly. It's like when Americans do Shakespeare. There's a slight feeling of reverence. There's a slight feeling of reverence, and as if maybe we should treat it with extra care. It is not our countrymen, she continued.
Yeah.
And she ended it with, I think when I'm scared, it's always a good sign. Maybe when I stop being scared, it'll be like, maybe I shouldn't do that one. No, I'm terrified of it. It's extraordinary and it's exciting. So
yeah, what a wild like back-to-back film what am I saying? Like going from Barbie to Narnia. Like
She doesn't have anything coming out in between.
From Little Women to Barbie.
yeah,
to Narnia.
Lady Bird, that's like 4 or 5 like really crazily different movies. Like,
Which I think is fun. You
so
know?
good for her, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope it's
muscles.
yeah. We'll see. I'm excited. That quote makes me more excited. Like she respects C.S. Lewis and
Yeah. I think next on her list is Dune Part 3. I'm just kidding.
Dune Part 3.
It's Dune Messiah.
Now,
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
now maybe if Dune Messiah comes out and is really good, maybe they give it like the Lord of the Rings treatment, where it's like, okay, we're going to give this thing 11 Oscars. You know, who knows? But
We'll see.
We'll
is
see.
it going to be the last, or are they going to continue doing movies?
Denis is not going to do anything else.
Okay.
There are
He
more
won't
books.
direct another one, but someone that doesn't mean that. Like they created a show which we haven't talked about, and it also I heard is like boring. I haven't watched it though, so I guess I can't. Anyways, my point is like it's probably going to be a franchise, which makes my head hurt.
Well, there's already a HBO Max series.
I just said that. I literally just. No, but well,
Bruh.
it's one thing to have a spin-off show. It's another thing to have, we have the Dune cinematic universe plan. Like right now, Denis has a tight grip.
The DCU.
The DC.
Wait, that's not, you can't use that.
What? Denis has a tight grip on the
Asher's dying.
okay.
Why are you dying?
Dude, I choked on my water.
Bro,
Jason over here.
You should have seen me.
Jason over here proposing the.
the DCU. You should have seen me chug all that water after the Oscar nominations talk.
god.
We will. We'll review the. But let me finish my thought.
Finish your thought, bro. We keep interrupting you.
I don't even know what I was
We're
saying.
fake friends, bro.
Okay. Yes. Denis has. He's in control of the property right now, but I have a feeling as soon as he relinquishes that after Messiah, releases, we're gonna get migraine-inducing levels of extra content nobody wants.
What if it just keeps ownership of it and like doesn't do anything with it and just sits back? And
I'd
laughs?
be okay with that.
He's like, you guys want to do something with it? Sorry, I own it.
I'm like a huge proponent of just letting things end.
I
Terminator should have stopped at T3, although I like Salvation. If you guys have seen that.
Salvation
I like
is a
Terminator.
solid one.
MCU should have ended after Endgame. Or maybe at least Spider-Man No Way Home.
I think the MCU should have focused on single stories. And I know they did that with the shows, sort of, but nobody watches those. I watched like a bunch of the first like round of them. But
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is good. So I'm told. I never watched
You know
it.
what? While we're talking about
I never finished the whole series. I started Agents
I have
of
a
S.H.I.E.L.D. when
friend
I was
who-
younger, but I never finished it.
I have a friend who adores it.
Kevin Feige doesn't acknowledge its existence, though.
Kevin Feige, I have mixed feelings about Kevin Feige. But you know what? I think he's about to do us some good here.
Well, he's bringing us Daredevil.
Exactly.
Born Again.
Exactly.
Which
is our next bullet point, believe it or not.
Whoa!
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so the trailer came out, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Dude,
It seemed a little bit like different from a visual standpoint than the
It's got
Netflix
the-
series, but
it's got the Marvel.
it
grading.
got like everything's bright colored, whereas like Daredevil's like it's always nighttime or it's just like
Even in
really muted colors.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I don't want to be excited. because I'm afraid that they'll hurt me.
Don't give me hope.
Yeah, don't give me hope. I'm afraid that Marvel's going to hurt me.
They're sorry they couldn't do it sooner.
I hope so. They better be. So
It was a movie
better
quote.
be.
I remember seeing Daredevil in No Way Home.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Charlie Cox's boat.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
He catches the brick.
Oh, I thought you meant there was a Daredevil movie called No Way Home. I was like, no, you're mixing that up. But I'm just gonna be over here.
There was a movie that was so Daredevilishly made called No Way Home. I wasn't trying to get anything out of that.
Oh, well, I laughed.
I appreciate that.
What is going on?
Anyway.
I don't know. We're so tangent right now.
Seeing Charlie Cox's interpretation of Daredevil in the Spider-Man No Way Home, to be clear, I was like really excited for that. That was in 2021. That was December of 2021. And I was like, dude, they're going to bring him back. Because literally because Daredevil season 3 aired like October of 2018. And January of 2019, the following year, right after like the second season of Punisher had released, they axed the Netflix shows because Disney Plus was coming out in 2020. And I remember being like super upset. I'm like, dude, this is like, I might have even cried. But then we got that and I was really excited. And then they put Daredevil in She-Hulk and She-Hulk was a mess. And I was like, dude, they're going to butcher my boy.
Look what they done to my boy.
In his appearance in the show is already like in the She-Hulk show, the way they portrayed him, I was like, ugh. Yeah. So I haven't been like really high on it, but the trailer, I mean, it looks like it reminds me of the trailers of the ones that they made for the original series, and the showrunner is the person who was the showrunner for the Punisher series on Netflix, which is a show I also liked a lot, and John Bernthal's returning as the Punisher in this, and I keep going further. I think it's an 18 episode season, unheard of for the streaming era of television.
Is it? Well, I think it's 2 seasons, right? Isn't it like 9?
No, they've greenlit a second season. It's 18 episodes, season 1.
Oh wow!
I mean,
that's a lot. I
fact-check
thought it was
me,
9 and 9, but you
check
could be
me.
right. I mean,
I'm pretty sure it's an 18 episode season, and they've already greenlit season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. Like, it looks really. It looks like the violence is there from the Netflix series, which, I mean, you know, violence is always fun to watch on the you know, and like it looks like there's going to be some epic back and forth conversations between Daredevil and Wilson Fisk. If there's some cool rhetorical monologues from Wilson Fisk, I mean, that's always fun. I don't know, as long as it keeps like the same spirit and like thriller kind of.
Well, one of the things that came out is that they're retconning almost nothing from the original run, which is great because they actually filmed or had 6 episodes done of Daredevil Born Again and then scrapped it entirely. And this was like a couple years ago. Like Disney just for whatever reason thought it wasn't good enough or what, and they got rid of it and they redid everything. And this is the version of the show we're getting now. And in that original version, they were going to soft reboot the character or do some soft retcons of like, yeah, the Netflix shows probably kind of sort of happened, but also other things didn't. But in this version, as far as I'm aware, it's a direct continuation, more or less, with, you know, the snap happening in between and all that junk from the end of Daredevil season 3, which I thought, like, I think people always have to put an asterisk as like, oh, this is really good for superhero shows or for a superhero movie. I think Daredevil season 3 is like just really good television.
Yeah, agreed.
So
definitely one of the better like TV shows I've seen.
Like in general, just like TV in general.
I don't watch a whole lot, so I guess there's not a lot of competition. But
well, according to IMDb, it's 9 episodes for season 1 and then 9 episodes for season 2.
Well, that's still more than like most MCU stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
they do a lot of 6 episode stuff. So I was wrong. I lied.
You didn't lie.
I lied. Kick me off the show.
All right. Bye.
No, we need Jason.
Just kidding, Jason. Yeah, so, we'll see what happens with that. The Punisher's back, too, so a lot to be excited about. Foggy and
Nelson, Karen Page are back.
The gang's all here. So, yeah. I think that should do it for our news part. To kind of wrap the show up, we're just going to go over some recommendations of some movies that we've been watching lately, but also we can break that rule of just movies in general, or TV shows, or, whatever. Animated shorts, documentaries, whatever.
I got some animated shorts I could bring up in the future. I mean, it's all still technically film related. It's all filmmaking.
It's all on the table, folks. So,
what table?
My recommendation is actually over here. So, I was talking about it earlier. R2D2 Funko Pop. R2D2 Funko Pop is moving.
You're messing with the...
So, I don't know if you can see this clearly. This movie is called Belfast. And it is written and directed by Kenneth Branagh. And he's the guy that, you probably watched his version of Hamlet in school or whatever. He's done a lot of Shakespearean stuff, but he's also... He randomly directed Thor 1. Okay, whatever. That was the most random thing I think I've ever seen in the MCU. But
very Shakespearean movie.
And he also, all the camera angles were
all the Dutch angles
tilted. Yeah. Thor 1. I guess Kenneth Branagh really liked that.
Which that's considered a Dutch angle?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Dutch angle. I've heard the Dutch angle, but I didn't know that's what a Dutch angle was.
I hope I'm saying something accurate.
No, that's true.
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
Aren't you the filmmaker?
I just wanted to double check.
Belfast is a story about... It's basically like a loose... It's not named after him, the main character, but it's basically about his life as a kid growing up in Belfast, which in the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of almost a civil war essentially between Catholics and Protestants. And it was a really big cultural clash, and there was a lot of riots. There was a lot of looting, murders, all of this stuff going on. And the movie is basically about them experiencing that. So there's this young boy at the center of it, and his parents, who are played by Jamie Dornan and Catriona Balfe, and also his grandparents, played by Ciarán Hinds and Judi Dench. So it's got some stars, English actors. It's kind of a smaller movie, but I thought it was really sweet. There's a lot of really great interactions, the innocence of this kid experiencing all of this, terrible stuff happening around him. His parents, their marriage was strained because they were debating, should we move out of the city? His dad got a job out of the city and had to keep coming back in and leaving. And his wife was upset about that, but his wife really didn't want to leave because Belfast was her home. It's all she knew. And I don't want to spoil it, what happens, but it's a really heartwarming movie. And yeah, it was probably my top movie that came out that year in 2021. Yeah, it's just really heartwarming and really well acted and well written. It's all in black and white.
Nice.
Which I think is just it takes place in the 60s or whatever. So I think it's kind of an homage to that kind of filmmaking from that time. So yeah, that's my recommendation for you.
Nice.
The listener, and Asher and Jason as well. So.
Nice. Belfast.
Awesome.
Belfast. You're going to have to turn the subtitles on because the Irish accents
authentic Irish
are
accents.
very thick.
Man.
All right, take it away.
I feel like I do this all the time, but I cheated again and I have two. All right. So the first one, David Lynch recently died.
We didn't even talk about that.
So I've been going through a lot of his filmography and just rewatching them with some friends, or watching them for the first time, actually, in a lot of cases. He did, notably, a adaptation of Dune in 1984.
He did.
I'm not recommending that. That movie actually sucks. David Lynch actually disowned it for a period of time.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. Anyways, the movie I'm recommending is Blue Velvet. It's viewer discretion advised if you do watch it. It's this mystery thriller. It actually takes place in Lumberton, North Carolina. We're from North Carolina, by the way. North Carolina. And it was filmed in Wilmington and also filmed a little bit in Lumberton, which is really interesting. You know, David Lynch, he said he picked Lumberton because he thought the name sounded, you know, it sounded like a place where bad things happen.
There's tons of lumber.
Very true, by the way. Lumberton is a place where bad things happen, especially in the 80s when this film takes place. So it just follows this young adult named Jeffrey, who's played by Kyle MacLachlan, kind of happening upon basically, I guess, like some evidence of like a murder taking place, or potentially out in this field nearby his home. And he brings this attention to the police, and he just gets so enamored with this mystery, and obviously the police aren't letting him get involved. He involves himself. And it goes on this kind of like roller coaster of him really being in places he shouldn't be and doing things he shouldn't, trying to solve this mystery and in the end, you know, save some folks. It's just a really beautifully well shot film. The antagonist in the movie is excellent. He has like these very specific mannerisms that almost seem like calling cards, kind of, you know, to his character. I don't really want to spoil anything. So, but he's just it's just a character that really drew me in, is like being super fascinating. And Jeffrey as well is like, it kind of feeds into this, I think, thing that we all have where it's like, we want to see things solved. We want to see things fixed. And for most people, I hope, we want the right thing to be done. And it's accomplished through various, you know, in a morally, you know, ambiguous means, I guess sometimes, right? So just a really good film overall. I recommend it to anybody who just likes movies in general or really likes David Lynch and hasn't seen it yet. My second recommendation, which is the one I was originally like always going to do, is Severance, the Apple TV original, directed and show ran by Ben Stiller. What not to say? I picked it up because season 2 was when I watched it. Season 2 was about to release. It's already out now. The first 2 episodes, I think. And it's just this really has this like really interesting concept where I'm sure most of you have heard it by now, but this idea that your work self and your like regular everyday life self are separated, and neither has the memories of the other. So like the moment you step into work, you switch to this other version of you through a surgery, like, and they put this implant in you. And it poses a lot of really interesting questions. It honestly feels like a Twilight Zone or Black Mirror episode, but stretched out through a whole season or multiple at this point. Just asking us like, what is the morality of doing that to people, doing that to yourself? You know, is it like a form of slavery? You know, it's you, right? You made this decision, but this other version of you who has no, you know, doesn't know anything about the outside world, only lives in this office, right? You know, they wake up in the office as they're coming down the elevator. What are the implications of that? And that's like the fun of the first season, and just kind of seeing how it kind of all like starts to boil over. Like, you know, how are these? They call them innies in the show. How are these innies going to, you know, almost retaliate or fight back or deal or cope with the reality that they're in?
Is that like where can you watch that? Is that
Apple TV.
Okay.
So if you don't have an Apple TV subscription, but
that's very interesting.
But maybe I get one. Maybe I can just steal yours.
You could.
All right.
You could.
It's settled.
Well, basically, it's not stealing anymore because he just gave you permission.
Oh, true.
I'm allowing you to leech off yet another subscription service of mine.
What a great friend. Thank you.
It's like that scene in Ant-Man where they're in not Paul Rudd, but the guy who played Ant-Man before Paul Rudd, the older gentleman in the movie.
Douglas?
Yeah, Michael Douglas. Yeah. Like Paul Rudd's character and all the other guys are in the house, and he's like, well, we broke into this spooky place. And then Michael Douglas is like, I let you break in. And then the character's like, one of his friends, he's like, well, one could say, I let me break in.
It's like when your mom asks you to do, or somebody like is annoying you and asks you to do something, but you know you actually need to do it. And you're like, I'm doing this because I want to, not because you're telling me to. Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, Asher, what do you recommend to us?
You said it was interesting. It better be interesting.
Yeah. Where do I start? So I got some notes here. My recommendation is the movie The Boys in the Boat.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I actually need to, I didn't write it down. I need to, when was it released? 2023. Okay.
Yeah.
2023. This movie, I did not know this when we watched it, and my wife and I finished it last night. It was directed by George Clooney, and I had no idea.
Yeah, I remember seeing trailers for that a couple years ago. I never watched it though.
Yeah, I had no idea it was directed by George Clooney. I just was really captivated with the story, and just the little that I saw before watching the movie, it seemed like it was going to be very intriguing and very well made.
Yeah.
And I was right. Guys, this movie was outstanding in my opinion as a piece following, let me just look here. So I want to get it right. So it follows the 1936 men's rowing team at the University of Washington as they join together as a team for the first time, but then as they compete in the Olympics in Berlin, Germany for the gold medal. And so like you could go into this movie thinking the main attraction is like, oh, I hope they get the gold. But there's so much that is invested in this movie with the characters' backstories, with their just like their chemistry and everything going on. You still feel that, but you feel like there's so much more at stake than just getting a gold medal or just winning a race or just rowing a boat. And man, it was the cinematography was amazing. Like every shot pretty much felt like it was so intentional, from the focus pulling to pans, zooms, even to just like still shots, even wide shots, the way they established characters within a setting and the way they, framed up buildings just to show the scale and just to show the environment. Like even some of the sets felt like characters themselves. I remember like in the beginning of the movie, all of these university boys are gathered around, I guess it's the boathouse essentially, where all the gear is stored for the rowing boats and where the coaches and team members train and stuff. But the way they're all standing outside, like the camera is kind of like a little bit low, and like you see all these boys just kind of gathered, and it feels so congested in a way. But yet you have this humongously huge, this humongous.
That means big, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this humongous warehouse behind them. And like these doors open up, the coaches walk out. It just had a very cool way of just introducing us to characters and the environments they're in. I think it was really well done as a period piece. Like the costumes, the set design, and just to go back to the cinematography, guys, like there was something even in like the coloring, like there was something so, this might not make sense, but like it felt very aged. Like something about the shots didn't feel artificial. However, it was shot on digital, but something about it felt very like organic and aged and almost warm in a sense. Like it was just so pleasing to my eyes, like just for pretty much every shot. Like it was beautiful. But just for some other stuff with it, Joel Edgerton is in it, which I really like him as an actor. Mm-hmm. He plays the Coach Al Orbertson. Callum Turner plays kind of, I would say, the main rowing team member character. He plays Joe Rance, and his story is interesting. He's kind of coming from basically a very poor economical background, and he just wants to do good in life, but he's also got a lot of things inside of him that has kind of pent him up, and he's very closed off in a sense. And it's cool kind of just seeing his journey throughout this movie. It's not like humongous drastic changes within his character, but you see his character start to make subtle decisions that show his progression as a person, and as like a, you know, someone becoming a man and choosing to be a better man, if that makes sense. Some other characters that I thought were really good. The actor Luke Spatters. It's either Luke, I think I spelled that right. So Luke Spatters. Oh, sorry, that was autocorrect on my phone. So Luke Slattery. Luke Slattery plays Bobby Mock, and Bobby, he wasn't a rower, but he was the coxswain. And so the coxswain in an 8-man rowing canoe is the guy at essentially the back of the boat if it's moving forward, but he's the one seeing what's ahead. And so he's telling everyone like, hey, row at this pace. And he's like keeping them on track. He wasn't like, you know, a main character. Honestly, a lot of these characters kind of felt like they were sharing the spotlight, like the way they just presented this story. But his character I thought was really fun. They introduced him a little later in the movie, and he brought a lot of spunk to like the team. And I thought that was really fun because I think the team, in a sense, like needed that. Yeah, I could honestly go on. What was interesting is this book, or this movie was first a book, and it was adapted, I think, technically.
Every movie seemingly was a book first.
What? I have no comment.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to say.
It's just not true. But
but I thought for this movie having like written material as its source material, I thought the screenplay was really well done. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else that I wanted to bring up?
Boys in the Boat.
The Boys in the Boat, a really good movie. I could go on. I have a few like constructive critiques, but honestly, it's kind of critiques that are peppered throughout the movie. It's nothing like overall. Mm-hmm. Just a few things that I'm thinking of, ways that maybe we could improve that scene better or something like that. So like one critique I have is something about the editing for one portion of the movie. But yeah, I would say if anyone's interested, maybe like check out the parents guide or like the content guide, just because for me, at least personally, the language is a bit more than what I thought was necessary. And then like I had to like close my eyes very briefly for like a second or two. do a little eye close.
Do you have a word for it? Do you have a word
for the movie?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know I'm dropping this on you. Maybe you're cooking one up.
You know, I might just stay with outstanding out of 10.
Outstanding out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when I was rooting for these boys in the boat, you know, rowing.
Said the title.
Yeah. There was so much invested. Like you could feel why they were rowing. They weren't just rowing for winning a race or, you know, winning a gold medal. There was so much relational collateral these guys had built together. There was so much, there were so many like personal reasons they were doing this for. Like
they want to succeed for each other.
Yeah, they want to succeed for each other. They want to succeed for themselves. They want to, you know, they're doing this more for winning. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yeah, I would definitely recommend this movie. The Boys in the Boat.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful.
You know, I think every single film you've recommended is something I hadn't seen yet. So kudos to keeping that streak alive.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Outside of even in the Christmas ones, I hadn't seen Klaus.
Really?
Yeah.
Asher with the deep cut recommendations. Love it.
Nice. I'll try to keep it going.
Jason, what movies have you seen or not seen?
I've seen every movie, so no, I'm just kidding. That's not true at all. Well, Asher, where can people find us?
Yes.
I'm not even
Man.
going to try this time. I'm just going to let you say them.
So, if you're watching this, you've already found us. So, thank you. And let me pull up my notes because I don't have them up right now.
We're on Instagram.
Thank you, Wesley.
On the Slate podcast, some sort of variation of that terminology.
Yep, on the Slate podcast, Instagram.
We're here on YouTube and also
We're also
Spotify
on Spotify and
Apple.
Those are the main two podcast platforms.
So
find us there.
Yeah, check us out.
And if you want to email us, on theslatepod@gmail.com.
Give us a 5-star review. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll read it. I want
Yeah.
to read one of these.
Just leave comments. Say anything. Preferably nice things. But
Yeah, and thank you guys for those who have been responding. Wesley told me last time we were together that someone LOL'd at my granddaddy-ator joke. So,
Granddaddy.
you know, it's cool hearing feedback, and it's cool knowing that you guys are listening, and I'm really enjoying that.
All right. Well, I think that's the On the Slate Movie Podcast. I'm Wesley.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Asher.
Everyone take care and God bless.